You ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Let's do it for Jesus.
Sounds good.
Welcome to Spooky Ass Shit. I am your host, Eric Dwinnells. And with
He
me
is.
Yeah. And with me over there, that's Brian Toney.
Hi, guys.
He's
What's
back.
up?
It's been a long time,
It has.
but now you're back. I'm concerned. I can't tell if that's squeaking on your shoes or if it was something on the mic, but the sound is off on the mic, right? So I wouldn't have heard it. Good story, Eric.
I was trying to process all those things you said.
Yeah.
Didn't work out too well.
Look, it's been a long day. Now, last week, I was complaining on the episode because I did not feel well, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
And I had some long days and everything, and I was like, look, I'm going to give you a short episode this week. Just deal with it, because, listen, I'm entitled here and there. And that's what happened. Today, I had different plans, which I already told Brian, but I'll tell you guys. So I started off the day thinking we were going to do an episode about the Japanese suicide forest, which has a real name, but I don't remember it off the top of my head.
I think that's probably the best name for it.
Yeah.
Very descriptive.
We were going to talk about that, but then I had a rough day at work, and I just had to put out 5 different fires all within the space of an hour. And I was like, no, I don't want to. I want to do something a little bit lighter. I don't want to just talk about suicide and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we'll save that episode for another day. So then I was trying to think. One of our listeners had requested Black-Eyed Children, but I said to her, "Yeah, we'll talk about it at some point, but I can't imagine doing a full episode about it because it's like a creepypasta that people have kind of tried to make into a real thing, but I totally don't believe it is." And so I could probably talk about it for 10 minutes, but that's about it.
Yeah, the Japanese suicide forest is a thing that I haven't heard of, but it sounds like it's an actual thing, and the Black-Eyed Children is something that I've never heard of.
Yeah.
And does not sound like it's an actual thing.
No, it's not. But I mean, it's still interesting. We could still talk about it, but it just
Yeah.
wouldn't be a whole episode. We could do a whole show about creepypasta, or we could do a whole episode about, paranormal children or something like that. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, well, I could mix that in with a creepy kids episode. And I was like, we could talk about Mary Bell and that kind of thing. And if you don't know who Mary Bell is, you can Google her. But she basically was a child murderer. And however you're thinking about that, you're right, because she was a murderer of children.
And she was also a child.
She was also a child.
All right. Covered all the bases there.
And it's a very interesting case, actually. And she, by the way, is free in the world now under a different name. So now you know that. Then I was just I don't know if dead children is better than suicide for a day when I'm just not feeling it on the dark side,
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
And but then the thing that really drew the line for me was last time Brian was here, which is forever ago. We talked about a dead child. The boy in the box.
Boy in the box.
And I was like, no, okay, well then I'm not gonna turn Brian into the dead child guy.
Everybody does call me that though, to be fair.
Yeah. And again,
I never knew why.
Pointing out that I'm not laughing at the dead children, I'm laughing at the foibles of my life and my thinking.
Yep.
That's all.
98%, 2%.
So we're not doing that. So here's the deal, folks. I have 0 notes in front of me. This is called winging it. But I know out of all my frequent guest co-hosts, Brian and maybe Tom, those are the dudes where we can have a conversation, and I'm pretty sure it'll be at least halfway entertaining for people listening.
Every now and then we actually talk to each other outside the the realm of podcasting, so it works out. And
Yeah.
Eric's a what do you call it? Certified comic. So that works out.
Yeah, I am officially licensed.
You actually do have a thing, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, it's on my wall, hanging up.
Excellent.
Certified funny.
Fair enough.
I mean, you wouldn't really know it from this show because I'm not that funny on this show.
You're more spooky than funny.
Yeah, I mean,
But
I
I
straddle
would say
the
that's
line,
probably
I guess.
true in life as well. You're more spooky than funny.
really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I would say so.
All right. I don't think I'm spooky in real life.
If under spooky we can bring in just kind of left of center stuff, which I think this show has been about things that aren't necessarily scary or evil or devilish.
Spooky.
They're just kind of
I'm a little Gomez Adams-ish. Maybe.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe Uncle Fester would be more accurate.
Who played Uncle Fester in the movies?
Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah, he was great.
He was.
Yeah. All right, Eric. So
Yeah.
what are we going to be talking about?
We are going to talk about ghosts.
That's it. Ghosts.
No, more specifically, we are going to talk about, I'm going to call this episode Ghosts.
Like it?
What the fuck are they?
Apparitions. Patrick Swayze's. I don't know.
Now, as I said, I have 0 notes, but I've certainly read enough about ghosts and seen enough of the stupid fucking TV shows, the Ghost Hunters and all that shit, which I can watch about 10 minutes of before I have to turn off. But I've heard enough of their theories and all that stuff, plus just theories you hear about growing up and all that kind of stuff. We're going to save the sciencey stuff probably for another day.
Oh,
I think,
thank God.
But see, to me, that's interesting. Like, why do people believe in ghosts?
I do think it's interesting.
And there are cultural and scientific reasons why people do. And I think that'd be interesting to talk about. But I'd want to have the notes, like, to back it up.
Yeah.
And I don't. But if we want to talk about, like, mythology and, like, reasons why people will make up why ghosts exist,
Sure.
we can do that because we're as qualified as anyone else.
Correct.
So, I mean, we can make up bullshit all along.
Indeed.
But before... go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So this is... I don't know if you've listened to the show lately, but this is something I've been doing is I talk a little bit about it and then I go into some other stuff. Billboarding, they call it. So we talk about the subject so people know what they're in for later on. And now they got to listen to some stuff that maybe they're not as interested in, but they know the ghost talk is coming.
Like it.
But hopefully they are interested because now they've come to know us a little bit. We've been out for a while.
Yeah.
We have a small but significant audience out there.
Yeah. From many different countries.
Yeah, it's true. And it is so hot today, and I am not built for the heat. And I have sweat in my eye, and it's burning.
It happens.
Yeah.
Could be worse. Could be yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday was worse.
Yesterday was dire.
It's still pretty hot. In May. Not cool.
Yep.
Not
Kind
cool.
of just skipped spring and went right into summer, which is it's fine.
This is
fine.
old man conversation talk with Eric and Brian.
Warm today. Even warmer yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And we live in Maine now, which is excellent. Vacation land.
Yeah. So, listen, I teased. That's a classic radio segue.
Listen up, fuckers.
All right. This is a very loose episode. But that's all right. This how we're playing this week. Fast and loose. Mm-hmm. There's no rules this week. There's no notes.
I may be furious if you're lucky.
Yeah. So listen now.
All right.
Last week I teased a project that I might be involved in. And we were still, working on some negotiations. But now I can officially announce that I will be taking the stage once again. Not the comedy stage this time, but once again, a theatrical, musical performance.
Bum, bum, bum. You
Yeah.
received the offer sheet and everything. It's finalized now.
Yeah. Well, they posted the list and the cast list. It's all public information now. So
no backseas.
next month, I'll be doing a very brief run.
This is 35 minutes.
Yeah. No, in Rock of Ages, the musical Rock of Ages, which is one of those, what they call a jukebox musical. So it's not like, they basically just take a bunch of songs that already exist and then find a reason to form them into a story. And I say that with quotations.
Mamma Mia, probably the most famous.
Yeah, Mamma Mia,
jukebox
Jersey
musical.
Boys.
Yeah.
Rock of Ages now. There's been a few. But in any event, it should be a fun show. And I'm playing, if you're familiar with it, I'm playing Lonnie, who's kind of like the narrator of the show, and I get to break the fourth wall, which means talk directly to the audience or about the audience. And get to sing some cool 80s hair metal songs and whatnot. So, it's going to be a good time.
Go to it. It's in Marblehead.
It is. Oh, yeah. That'd be important information. It's in Marblehead, Massachusetts.
Couldn't hurt. Yeah.
I don't think the tickets are on sales yet. On sales yet. But whatever. Fuck it. I'm keeping it. But I will post links on the website and everything. So if you're interested, come on out. But buy your tickets quick because apparently it's a small venue. What about you, Brian? You got anything you want to plug? Even if...
So I'm thinking about how to phrase this. I would like to plug a man named Scott Pomeroy who helped me out with a music-related difficulty that I had this very day. So he is a gentleman who plays guitar in a bunch of bands out in Springfield, Massachusetts, or Chicopee, or any of those, like a little too west places. So if you ever have a chance to get out to one of his shows, I would recommend it because he's a stand-up gentleman.
Now look at that. I would like to point out that only twice in his career on the show has Brian plugged something, and both times they were not his own things. What a guy.
It's not pure altruism. I'm just lazy. I don't do my own stuff. That's mainly it.
Very well. Let's see. Also, I should mention the website. So you can go to spookyas.com or spookyasshit.com. They both take you to the same place, and that is this show's blog page. From there, you can listen to every episode. You can find pictures from... I don't know if there'll be any from this episode because I don't even know what we're going to end up talking about. But there may or may not be. There might be some YouTube videos related. There might be some outtakes. Who knows? You can also find links to all of our social media. That is at SpookyAssShit on both Instagram and... what's the other one? Twitter?
Yeah. I liked your emphasis.
Yeah,
Spooky ass shit.
Well, it's ASS because some people
Yeah.
think I'm saying as. A lot of people.
Yeah.
This is a really
Should
dumb
lock down
name.
that domain. The spooky ass shit. Redirect.
Yeah, I was not smart when I picked out the name of the show, but I liked the sound of it, and I still do.
I mean, you've been telling me for years you wanted to just have a podcast that had ass in it, and so...
Well, that's not true, but... I am a man of weird obsessions, but that was not one of them. Just
Fair
so
enough.
everyone knows.
Not an ass man. Write it down.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I never specifically mentioned it in podcasting.
Fair enough.
But that's how I talk. Like, oh, that was some spooky ass shit. So that's why
It's true.
you can hear me saying it when you think about it.
It's your voice, as they say.
Yeah. I got to be true to myself, man.
Your character.
I don't care if iTunes doesn't like it or Apple Podcasts.
Just Apple Podcasts.
That's what they call it now.
Oh.
Speaking of that, if you could subscribe, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcast or iTunes or Stitcher or iHeartRadio or YouTube, wherever you listen, that would be cracking, as they say.
Wait, who says that?
I was watching a YouTube video of this guy in England.
Oh, okay.
And he talks about things being cracking.
Oh,
Specifically,
that's
it
fair.
was about the game Hero Quest.
Have not heard of it.
You never played Hero Quest?
No, is it a phone game?
No. It was
No.
a very important board game. It was like a role-playing board
okay.
game.
Yeah, I'm not a tabletop guy in
Yeah.
general. Not
I don't
against it.
I don't think me and my friends ever played it correctly, but we played the shit out of that game.
Okay.
And we loved it, and it had miniatures and everything.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was a good video. So there you go. I'll post that video on
There's your
this
extras
episode.
right there, yeah.
You can go to spookyas.com and see that. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/spookyas.
Yeah. Someone in their natural habitat saying Kraken.
Yeah.
Probably the way it's supposed to be used. Or maybe he just made it up.
Oh. I
Yeah.
think I've heard people say that before.
That's
Like,
Kraken.
not here, but I think I've heard English people say that on television or movies before.
I'll accept it.
I don't know if that's true. So, Brian,
Yeah, huh?
we've rambled on for 15 minutes now.
Listen.
Now, listen. First of all, do you believe in ghosts?
Short answer, no.
Long answer.
No, it actually would be probably too long, but the idea that I have grown up understanding of ghosts, I do not believe in any aspect of that, of apparitions, of there being actual sensory representations of people who are dead. I don't believe that's a thing. Like I believe that might be manifested by your own brain. If if you're thinking about someone who is no longer with us, then sure, why wouldn't your brain conjure up that thing? Our brains do weirder stuff than that all the time. But no. So, no.
So you guys know, you should know if you've listened to the show before, that I do not believe in ghosts. By the way, if this is your first time listening to the show, this is probably not the best first episode to listen to. It's usually much more organized than this.
A little more coherent.
Yeah. I think this is going to be fine. But
I'm having fun.
yeah.
Just a couple guys in a room shitting around, right?
I mean, listen to last week's episode where I'm literally like reading the notes that I wrote. I did write them. I didn't just copy them like, verbatim from some website. I did write them. But it's still, I'm very much more presentational when it's just me. Like, so the ghost, the thing about ghost is when they come, blah, 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 and, da-da-da. And then it's like, fuck, shit, like whatever. It's just Brian Toney here.
Yep. I do say fuck shit a lot.
Yes, he says it all the time. But this is maybe not the best first episode. So go back and listen to a few other episodes and then come back and listen to this one if this is your first spooky AS experience.
I don't know that we need that disclaimer. If they've made it 19 minutes, if they're still listening to this at this point, I think they're... okay.
Okay. Anyway, let me tell you about ghosts. Listen. No, I don't believe that there is ghosts. I think it's really comforting for some people to believe in ghosts. And I would love to believe in ghosts. I would love to believe... in some ways, that my parents are still around and they're watching over me and other people that I've lost and loved in my life. But there's no real evidence for it. Of course, people will have their own personal anecdotes. Usually it's about a dream or a certain animal that came by and it was so-and-so's favorite animal and, all those kind of things. There's always stories like that. And usually, like, if someone tells me those, I'm not going to, like, bust it in their face. I'm not going to be like, well, you say... You see what I'm working with, folks? He's cracking up because I said
come on
in their face.
I know I'm not the only one.
I meant bust the story.
Yeah.
In their to their face. Oh, right. Jesus Christ. Trying to do a nice
what are you trying to do?
Show here.
No, but that's why I would say I don't think you should necessarily say, that's not what this episode is about when we're talking about God, because I think that is a very big part of it. I think that informs the idea of ghosts quite a bit. Whatever you might think spiritually, it's going to inform what you think about ghosts. Would you not agree?
I would agree to an extent, although I would bet that there are people out there who don't consider themselves particularly religious.
Who just saw some stuff? That
still believe in ghosts.
Okay.
Because I guess the theory then would be like, well, because really what we want to talk about today is what are ghosts.
Oh.
So okay. The idea that I grew up with is that a ghost is the spirit of a dead person. Now, the spirit is something that lives in your body while you're alive, and it's where your thoughts and all that come from. And, the understanding I had when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Interesting, when I was really little, I thought that my mind was in my stomach. But that actually kind of makes sense because you feel things through your stomach.
It's true. And I don't have, any literature in front of me, but I believe that medically, we all know that pretty much medicine was dog shit before 1800. It was just anecdotal and terrible.
Well, but says you, white man.
All right. Let's do voodoo. But I believe that at one point, people who considered themselves doctors did think that the soul was in the stomach or the heart was the thing that drove everything you did.
Yeah, so I wasn't the only one.
No, not at all.
But that's why. But that someone said that's probably why I thought that, and that's probably why those cultures thought it too. Because when you're nervous, you can feel it in your stomach. You can feel queasy.
Yeah.
When you're excited, you feel it. When you are sick, obviously, you feel it. So all those things. So the idea is the body dies, but the spirit lives on. Now, I was raised Catholic, so the belief is that you go to heaven or purgatory, more likely, which is kind of like God's holding cell, and you go there till you sober up, and then you're allowed to go into heaven after you've atoned for some nonsense that you did with so many years of purgatory.
Yeah.
And then you get to go to heaven. But sometimes people get lost on the way to heaven. And they remain here on Earth, trapped for various reasons, which we can get into. and that is how a ghost or a free roaming spirit is formed. That's the idea that I grew up with.
Well, I'll ask you this: did anybody who was associated with the church tell you that? Because I've never heard that.
No.
It was just what you cobbled together out of.
It was like, well, my brother had told
and,
me, and
okay.
like what you see in movies and stuff, and people who come on like Geraldo will talk about like those kind of things, like the garbage people Warrens and stuff like that. But well, actually, the Warrens have more of a biblical take on it, because according to the Bible, there actually is no such thing as ghosts.
Interesting.
I wish I had the
passages in
front of me, and I don't.
You can put it back in.
Yeah, maybe. Actually, that would be an interesting. Like, what do the holy books say about ghosts? That would be a whole. We could have done that today, but we didn't. Oh well. But that could be a whole nother episode we can do. But yeah, basically the Bible says that like there are no ghosts, and if someone is coming to you after they've died and they're coming to you like in spirit form, that's a demon.
Oh.
That's a demon trying to fool you.
That's interesting. Because qualitatively, I guess I agree with that. Like, if you think you see a spirit, you probably don't. So maybe don't listen and don't do the things it says, especially if it involves burning people or whatever it might be.
Yeah. I think we talked about it a little bit, actually, on the Ouija board episode that Tom and I did. But that's one of the reasons why they caution against using a Ouija board, because you're not actually talking to, Aunt Jenny. You're talking to...
Demon Aunt Jenny.
Yeah. She's got a goatee.
All evil twins have goatees. Gender is not an issue.
So there's lots of theories as to why a spirit... That's not the only idea of what a ghost is.
Yeah.
But my question is, why do ghosts remain on Earth then, if that is the case? Like, what are the reasons they'll get stuck here? But then, really, what I want to ask a true believer, which I guess we don't have in this room, but someone who 100% does believe in ghosts, especially if they were a researcher, I'd want to ask them, because I think most people haven't put that much thought into it. They just decide whether they believe or not, because based on some anecdotal story that they have from their own life or someone they know. But what is a ghost? Like, how do you quantify ghosts?
And how do you suck it into a vapor trap, Mr. Venkman? No, I don't know. And I don't know how many... I'm sure there are a lot of people who consider themselves to be ghost researchers.
There sure are, Billy.
But I feel like most of them are actually ghost hunters, and what they're actually getting out of the experience is the hunt part. And that's what they enjoy. And subconsciously, they actually enjoy getting out and being with their friends and doing the same thing. You thought Eric was a wet blanket. I'm the wettest blanket. I'm very skeptical of all these things, but I think eventually these things all come back to, what are you actually doing and what are you getting out of an experience? And I think that's what ghost hunters are getting out of it. But tangent. Now you go.
No, I think that's a good point, and something I always think about when I watch these shows, because almost universally, to a man or woman, at best, plain-looking people.
All right.
These ghost hunters.
Okay.
These paranormal investigators.
Yeah.
And I say this knowing that I am not going to grace the cover of Health and Fitness anytime soon. And yet, here I am hosting my paranormal show.
Yep. People who go on podcasts, folks, people who have podcasts, people who go on podcasts tend to have appearance deficits, shall we say.
Well, I mean, I guess you're including yourself in that, but I would still tell you to go fuck yourself, because
all right, fair enough.
I am still a handsome gentleman. I just happen to be a large and in charge handsome gentleman.
I would say other left of center looking folks. Tattoos could be involved.
Not your typical... I do have tattoos.
Do you?
I have... Well,
did I know this?
I have either 1 or 3, depending.
No, I'll call that 1.
Okay. It was done in one setting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see. I thought it was a... Yep, thought it was a cock and balls. That was the shape that I saw, and
No.
now I see what direction.
Now I have to
it's
explain
supposed
my
to
tattoo. Okay, so
go.
there's a peace sign, a heart, and Groucho Marx glasses, nose, and mustache
Yeah. Uh-huh.
in a row. And the idea, fruity idea behind it, is it's on my right wrist, so that when I go to shake somebody's hand, that is what I'm offering, which is peace, love, and comedy, and what I'm hoping to get in return: peace, love, and laughter.
Oh, I like
Comedy. Yeah, it's a sweet idea, right?
that. Yeah.
Because I know people who don't know me, especially before they hear my voice, they tend to be like a little bit intimidated or think that I'm like something other than what I am because I look a little left of center, as Brian would say.
I've been saying that a lot today. I don't think that I've been using it properly at all, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah. This way, because I'm a big guy and I have, a bald head and a beard and in the right light and stuff, like people have told me I look like a bouncer or a biker or something like that. And I'm so not that.
Yeah.
To anyone who knows me. And as soon as I start talking and you hear my little bitch ass voice, you know that I'm not like gonna,
Well, which is very interesting to me, and this will probably get cut out too. But
this whole thing might get cut out.
But the fact that they do make such assumptions when they see you, and then that those assumptions are immediately undercut when they hear a voice,
Yeah.
which has ostensibly changed nothing.
Yeah.
I find that very interesting.
But sometimes I talk like this.
No, you don't.
But I'm gonna.
We'll start. Yeah. Let's all make our
shit. This is how I talk now.
Let's all make our voices specifically match the way we think we look. Hey guys, you guys want to go rock climbing later? I'm down.
He really does like to go rock climbing.
Bouldering.
Yeah.
Anyway,
what were we talking about?
a million years ago, we were talking about how someone's religious leanings definitely.
Oh no! Wait.
closely
Yes.
inform-
Yeah.
yeah.
And then we had moved on. We were talking about how these are average-looking people on the ghost
Oh,
shows.
right.
That's how it all started. And I do think that's true. The thing, actually, I want to start making some YouTube videos for our YouTube channel. And
Girl.
we have videos, I say with quotations, because the show goes on there automatically, but they're not actually videos. They're just the show with the logo. But I want to make actual video content once in a while, too. I want to do Eric D's Mysteries. Be like Unsolved Mysteries, but with me in the trench coat. But
do you own a trench coat?
I do.
All right, well,
one
then we're
at
there.
Savers just for this.
Excellent.
It's a little snug on me now, though. I got to lose some weight for two reasons. One, so I'll fit in the trench coat, and B, so
Better than 1 and C, I guess.
So I won't be like yet another like overweight ghost hunter. That's why.
Oh, is that what you meant? Because I don't watch those shows.
They're not always overweight. They usually are. They usually are.
They are. All right.
But they're not always. But they're very, like, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there are maybe a few attractive ghost hunters. I'm willing to stipulate that.
All
but
right.
I think that the point that you made is a very good point, that really what they're getting out of it.
They're doing a thing.
Yeah.
They're doing a thing with other people, and that's just usually good.
That's worth
it's
something.
Usually fun. Yeah. It really is.
Now, speaking of ghost hunting shows, Brian, I totally forgot all about this, but right next to you, actually, there's a ghost meter.
All right, let's see how we're doing.
I got this from the library. It always beeps like that at first. Hold it close to the mic. It's really going, though. Are you holding it down, or is it just doing that?
Just doing that.
It's concerned about something.
Guys, I might be a ghost.
That's the sound it makes when it gets near a ghost. This is allegedly, it reads electromagnetic fields. I did borrow this from the library. All right, there's something in the middle of the living room. There's a ghost sitting right.
Nope.
It's definitely right in the middle of the room. It doesn't want to be on mic. I tried to move the mic towards it and it shut off.
Ghosts are scared of being on podcasts.
I guess so.
Always. I mean,
well,
everybody knows
spirit
that.
or demon, if you have anything to say, now's the time. Anyway, so that's an example of, they come in with these things that are pseudo-scientific, and even they don't know really what they're doing. They haven't calibrated them in any way. Again, I don't want to get too scientific on the show. Actually, I can't get too scientific on this show, but that's not what today's episode is really about, but that's just one thing that always bugs me. And then they get into those night vision goggles and scare each other, and that always bothers me.
Yeah.
As soon as I see the green night vision, I'm like, nope, we're out. We're done with this show.
It's interesting. I forget what episode I was on. I think it was it was some mythology episode, and just the idea that these things are created out of whole cloth, but they tend to originate from, broadly fear of the unknown. And back in the day, that was, we don't have lights and everything is in the dark. And I think ghost hunting definitely plays into that. Just fear of not being able to see something. So automatically there is dread. Automatically there is something there because we're afraid of it.
Yeah. Well, they make up reasons why, like, the ghosts want the lights off. Because really, like,
all right.
When you try to think of it, like, why the fuck would a ghost care? Like, why do you have to turn the lights off to contact a ghost? Why do you have to walk around the house with all the lights off? But they'll be like, well, because the energy required for a ghost, it's got to come, and that's really their excuse. That's no joke. They'll be like, it needs the energy that is normally taken up by the lights, or it can't, materialize or whatever. So that's one thing that people say all the time. Well, of course there's ghosts because, energy can never be destroyed or created.
Well, see, I believe that, and I was going to bring that up earlier, but the idea that it would be expressed in a way that could be sensorily detected, that kind of loses me.
Here's the thing. Again, I will stress, I am not a scientist. However, when I eat a banana...
Ooh, shit.
That gives
Real talk.
me energy.
Yeah.
That banana contains energy. That was a living thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect that the banana has a ghost or a spirit. Maybe it does. But the fundamental issue with this is that there is this eternal spirit or thing or energy. I guess that's what we have to call it, because in this case,
right?
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
There's this eternal energy. I don't think that's true. Or I should say, it is true, but that energy is always shifting its form and function.
Right.
Because when I eat that banana, I use that energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then whatever I use it for. If I use it to push this microphone away from my face...
Then no one can hear you.
No one can hear me, but the microphone was over there, and it had moved. That was some of my energy being used to move that. And now I have a little bit, tiny little bit less.
Mm-hmm.
But it was used in moving that. So this idea of energy that we always have, I think, is a falsehood. So that's one reason why I don't believe in ghosts. And if I was a scientist, I would explain that better, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
Well, the law of conservation of energy is a real thing. Like, yes, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It just, I forget what the actual wording is, but it just changes from one form to another. But the thing that most people get wrong is you can't always see that. Like, it's not always immediately visually evident that, oh, there's that energy. It's over there in a cloud. That's not how it works. There are a lot of things that brilliant scientists don't understand about the nature of the universe and dark matter and quantum physics and all that sort of stuff. So the idea that we, as lay people, would be able to see energy constantly moving from one form to another, not great. Let's abandon it.
Well, so I think the theory then would be that either a spirit is a form of constant energy that is always this is and always has been this form,
mm-hmm.
or that it's not that. There might be just parts of it, but using the energy in the environment, hence the lights need to be off and all that stuff, then it can take shape. Then it can manifest.
Right. We want to see it. And so we will meet all of its conditions that somehow we found out what they were.
So if I was to meet a ghost researcher or a ghost hunter,
uh-huh.
that would be my main question. Just what exactly is a ghost? What are you saying a ghost is? And most likely they'll say, well, we don't know exactly. Okay.
And that's
kind of a little cop-out.
And you take their name tag and you rip off researcher. And you write in guy.
Yeah.
You're a ghost guy now.
Yeah. Yeah, because you have to have some idea of what you're looking for. And most of them will claim they do. We don't know why, but for some reason they do interrupt electromagnetic fields, so that's why we use this detector, like the one that I got from the library.
Yeah, I'll take that. I don't know things. Like, I'll accept that. If you've actually found that repeatedly provable, well, let's go. Let's do it. But generally, that's not the case.
Because here's the thing. I don't believe in ghosts, but I do believe that people are having ghostly phenomena happen to them.
Yeah.
Things that would typically fit in a ghost story. They might be seeing things, they might be hearing things, they might be feeling things, whatever it is. So I'm not above saying that there is some reason why people would feel like there's something there's something watching them, that there's a different vibe to the room or to the building or whatever. But we can probably find some reason for it. Again, no notes in front of me. But I do know that there was, like, infrasound has been brought up before. And there was a dude...
like sound that you can't hear, but affects you anyway? Yeah.
Yes. Actually, a whole episode about that would be pretty interesting, I think. But
it's just like 45 minutes of silence. Sorry, we recorded it on the non-hearable spectrum.
But there was a guy... And again, no notes in front of me, so I think he was a
Stop
scientist.
saying that.
There's a dude, and he worked in this office, right? And everyone like
this is a great story so far.
That's why I'm telling it in this style. This dude who worked in an office, and everyone said like, "Oh, you can't go into Jim's office there because it's haunted." And, well, what do you mean it's haunted? Well, you go in there and it just feels weird. And I think this guy committed suicide or something. It just feels weird in there and you can, like, feel a ghost. And you can't, there's no one's really had any physical experience or anything, but it just feels like there's a ghost in there. And this guy, Jim, he discovered that the fan from the vent unit or whatever, the AC, was registering infrasound. And it was at a certain pitch. Again, if I had notes, that'd be wonderful.
Dog whistle sort of thing.
It was at a certain pitch, and whatever that pitch was is believed to cause, like, uneasiness in human beings. Yeah. Just like dog whistles can, like, upset dogs, So he, like, unplugged that fan, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, this office is clean.
Please tell me there's video of him saying that. All right. Yeah, I mean, it's just like the non-visible spectrum of light. Like, we're meat sacks, folks. We're not equipped for all the cool things that exist. It's okay. We get a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, there's animals that hear better and see better and all that, but that's because they...
way better.
Yeah,
they need to.
They have to.
Yeah.
We don't need to because we got our fancy brains.
So we got our iPhones, am I right? Up top. All right.
We just Google it.
Yes, indeed.
I don't need to hear the wolf coming. I'll just use my Google Maps to see like where the wolves are running these days. I'll stay away from there. And
the idea that we will eventually scientifically come up with an explanation for this is there's precedent for it. It's we used to have myths about everything, and now maybe we have this myth, and eventually it'll be just as banal as, oh, we figured out how wind works. And again, I feel like we could say this every single episode of this show, but we're not shitting on people who believe in ghosts. We want to be there with you in a way that we understand. Like, if you can explain what it means to you, then we'll get with you. It's just a thing that we don't think is a thing.
I want you to believe in ghosts responsibly.
Exactly. It's when you get to the, I know there are ghosts, and so I'm going to kill this guy. That's
well,
more
okay.
of the...
That's a bigger problem.
I realize that's an extreme, but...
But what I'm saying is, like, just this blind faith. I don't like blind faith in anything.
Yeah.
Including, religion or whatever. If you've thought about it and it makes sense to you for some reason, that's one thing. But if it's just because you were raised that way or because you saw a butterfly and now you're like, oh, it must be that. It's not that butterfly lands there every Sunday at this time. or that there's a whole, but this is where they live, like that,
Yeah.
no, this was special just for me, and I never noticed it, before, but that's what. So, believe in ghost responsibly. I'm interested in ghost. I would go on a ghost hunt. I have a electromagnetic detector from the library, so it's just a matter of time.
One thing that I'm really interested in is like the physical,
Yeah, you are.
the artistic interpretation of the ghost. Like the idea that, what do you think when you think of a ghost in popular culture?
I just think of like a see-through phantom.
See, I think of like the white sheet with like two black eye holes cut out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Legend of Zelda ghost is just such a classic thing, and I don't understand where that comes from. Like, yours makes more sense, like a transparent sort of apparition.
Oh, no, I was talking about, like, it would be like a sheet ghost, but it would be transparent.
I can
tell you,
there's
there's some theories as to why the sheet... So, see, I'm glad you asked, because this is something that might actually be interesting to people.
Fair enough.
Because in ye olden days, that would be a burial shroud. The white cloths.
Okay, all right.
So that's kind of like you put the white sheet over them, and that's why, Also, during the spiritualist movement, that was a fine way to make a ghost appear. Just throw a white sheet over somebody and I am a ghost.
I love it.
People apparently were dumb back in the 19th century.
Yeah, they were dumb in the 19th century.
Not like
we're
now.
much smarter now.
Yeah,
well, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But that would seem to suggest that the physical manifestation of the dead person is just the dead person, except you can't touch them. That's the idea. So like someone's dead and they put on the shroud and then they just wake up, but now you can put your hand through them.
I guess, but it depends. Like, because maybe it's not the actual like body spirit form of a dead person. Maybe it's their energy form, and that's what's lifting the sheet. And if you looked under it, there'd be nothing there.
Okay.
If it's an actual sheet. One of the points, and this actually comes from Penn and Teller's bullshit. They talk about like, well, why do ghosts have clothes? Like, does every shirt you've ever owned have a spirit too? Is all your stuff from the 90s floating around out there?
God, I hope not. Those are some dire times.
Haunting a Starbucks?
Fair enough. No, and I think in the end it will, just like we'll do anything to explain things that we can't see in the dark, like death. What is more significant in an organism that has a consciousness as life than the fact that their consciousness is going to end? We would invent anything to try to explain that. Like, I'm surprised that ghost mythology is not way weirder than it is. Because what wouldn't you come up with to try to explain, oh, my brain is going to go away and I will no longer exist in the way that I know myself? That's crazy.
It is crazy, but only because that's all we've ever known.
It's true.
But if you think about before you were born...
Where were you during the
Renaissance,
bother you, as they say?
Again, I don't mean to make it sound like I just steal from Penn and Teller all the time, but I did love their show. But I don't know if this was on their show or whatever, but... well, what's that?
I said you were attributing it. You're not stealing.
Yes, I am. Yeah. And I do know Penn. I've been on his podcast, of course. But that's true. But what was my point going to be?
You're the best.
It was something... No. Fuck, what were we talking about just before that?
Explaining death as a way of...
Yes. Oh, so one thing that Penn says is he's not afraid to die because there's nothing to be afraid of. You're just gone.
Right.
But he is afraid of dying.
Oh, yeah. Must be terrifying.
He doesn't want to do that. And I think that's probably how most of us feel. We'd rather just go get hit by a train, for example.
Yeah.
If you can hear that running through.
Topical. Yeah, I wonder how many just to bring it back to suicide, as I suppose you have to. I wonder how many suicides are just people like, oh, I'm done. I don't really want to go through the agonizing couple years that this is going to be. Let's just do this now and find out what's on the other side.
Yeah.
Probably not a lot. Probably not a large percentage, but probably a percentage.
I think you'd be surprised. And there's
sure
ways. I mean, for example, my mom, I don't know if I've talked about this on the show or not. I may or may not have. But my mom was terminally ill, and she was not doing well. She went in for a UTI, was what she officially went into the hospital for. But, of course, that was on top of her illness. Alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency, by the way. But she had this URI, and she went into the hospital, and then she'd been in and out of the hospital a lot. In this particular year, she'd had a stroke and all this stuff. And she was only in her 50s, late 50s, but in her 50s. And so the doctor called us in for a family meeting. And my mom was not at the meeting because she was, agonizing in her bed. And her doctor said, I've been with your mom for many, many years. And one thing I promised her is that I wouldn't let her suffer. Mm-hmm. And right now she's suffering.
Yeah.
And she had, because of her alpha-1, it affected her lungs. It doesn't always affect the lungs, but in her it did. She had one collapsed lung, and then the other one just wasn't so great. And he said, here's the problem. I can give her morphine to get rid of the pain. But if I do that, it's going to slow her breathing down so much, she's most likely going to die.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long it will take. It could be as soon as tonight. It could take a week. But she will most likely die if this happens. Mm-hmm. You guys are the officials here, so I need your permission if that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
But if we don't do that, she's going to be in pain. She's going to be agonized. And, of course, no one wanted to speak up. I actually was the first one.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, do it. And then we went to her room, and all she said, she was kind of in and out of consciousness, but all she said was, did they start the drip yet? I want the drip. Did they start the drip yet?
Oh, man.
Wanting the morphine.
Yeah. So
I have a little experience in that realm. So I'm
How
sure
old
that
were you at this
I was
point?
20 when my mom passed away.
Okay.
And my dad had died many years before that. But yeah, so I bet that kind of thing where it's not assisted suicide, but it is assisted suicide.
Kinda, yeah.
Happens a lot.
I bet that you're probably right. Yeah.
With terminal patients.
And just this kindergarten idea that we have that for some reason a longer life is better. The idea is you have to make it. If we can make it a couple more days, hours, years, that's somehow better for everybody.
Yeah.
That's something that needs to go.
Yeah.
That didn't have anything to do with ghosts, but...
No, I know. We really brought this episode down.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about the Japanese suicide forest. We're just going to talk about euthanasia. Yep.
But I said this would be an interesting episode at least, and I think it has been that.
Yeah, you're getting some Eric D. Deep cuts out here.
Yeah. Well, all right, listen. So listen.
Stop telling me to do that.
I will never stop. You must all listen. Slimer.
I don't think anybody expected him to say that, to borrow a phrase.
He's a ghost.
Yeah. He's green.
He's appeared in many films, and of course, there was the cartoon show, The Real Ghostbusters, and then it was called Slimer and the Real Ghostbusters.
Wait, really?
I think so.
He was that popular that...
Yeah. Well, he would have his own little mini cartoons. If I remember correctly. I'm not a huge Ghostbusters fan.
Yeah, I'm not either, and I think...
I mean, I do like the Ghostbusters.
I like them too. I think the reason that I never really got it was because I was too in my own head about it, and I was like, that's not a thing. Why are they making a movie about it? When I was 9 or whatever it was. It's that's not possible.
All right,
no,
so
all
Brian
the other
definitely is way more of a wet blanket than me.
No, but all the other movies were fine. All of the time travel, mythological Hobbits were fine. But for some reason, ghosts were just no. That's not real. Why are they doing that? Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. It's now I think about it, I was afraid of ghosts as a kid, but I don't ever remember seeing a movie about ghosts that I was afraid of.
Yeah, because Ghostbusters wasn't really scary.
No, not Ghostbusters, but I'm talking maybe Poltergeist or something like that.
Yeah, and Poltergeist, it's not. It's like The Shining. It's not like you ever see a burial shroud style visual representation of a ghost that you've grown up to accept. This is what a ghost is. It's just kind of weird, gross stuff that can't be explained. Like, that's what people are afraid of. That's why The Shining is scary. It's because this woman starts to die in real time and decompose. Like, that's gross and scary and unexplainable.
Yeah, she was gross.
And if we if we actually saw the burial shroud visual model of a ghost just walking around, and that was a thing we commonly saw, we'd get used to it instantly. We'd be like, yeah, that's a ghost.
Yeah.
They're fine. His name's Tim. It's not that bad.
Well, it's Hamlet.
No.
They're commenting on the ghost walking by, but they're not like freaking out about it. They're just like, there's that ghost again.
Wait, I don't know about this.
The opening scene of Hamlet.
You're much of a more Shakespearean
Well, I am an award-winning Shakespearean actor.
Nailed
Truth.
It. If we could get through a single podcast with you not bringing up your awards,
well, look, I'm just
Shakespeare.
saying. I mean, if you look up at my Shakespeare nutcracker that I have hanging over the TV, you see that gold medal around his neck?
I do see that.
Okay, just saying.
Why isn't there a gold medal around the Batman nutcracker?
I haven't won a gold.
You've never had the opportunity.
A gold medal in Batman yet, but I do hope that day arises.
Someday.
Yeah. Yep.
No, I do remember the first scene of Hamlet being the toughest scene to get through. It's like, okay, I heard this was good. I don't really understand it. I've seen it mounted many times, but
yeah, the guards keep seeing the ghost.
Oh, I did not remember that. That's funny.
And then the ghost doesn't talk. He only talks to Hamlet.
Yeah.
And he says, "Mark me."
Because who has the time?
He says,
"Oh, he doesn't say listen."
Yeah. Maybe that's what I'll say from now on. Mark me.
I think it's better. I think it's a better system.
All right, mark me.
Everybody's just looking around like, what did he say?
But that always struck me funny because, like, how's Hamlet gonna forget that he talked to the ghost of his dad? Like,
hey, remember this? Oh, okay. Well, I'll write it down then. Excellent.
Yeah. What else about ghosts?
What else about ghosts? Indeed.
I mean, we probably have enough, but it couldn't hurt to just. Because eventually you might stumble into something interesting.
Eventually. It could happen.
Like, we've had like 2 or 3 things so far that are like mildly amusing.
I feel like I'm trying not to get deeper into the religious metaphysical side of things, which I actually am very, very interested in, but I don't think is something that is often talked about on this podcast, and there are a lot of podcasts who talk about it much better than I could. But I guess if there was a bullet point about ghosts, I would say that it has everything to do with someone trying to reconcile their religious or spiritual upbringing with the idea that someday they're going to die, and maybe even subconsciously or unconsciously inventing this situation, this paradigm where they get to be a spirit and fly around, which isn't great. You're not corporeal, but at least you're still here, and you can still see things
like
that you understand. Yeah. That's like the main thing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, most world religions have some form of it. But what I do, and here's something interesting to think about, because Christianity came from Judaism. But in Judaism...
there's no hell, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So the idea of, like, heaven and everything, that existed before.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no idea of hell. And most world religions have at least some form of heaven or some form of afterlife. But not everyone has a hell.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
but also, to be fair, also from the Bible, the idea of hell as a place of, like, eternal punishment where you have to go and live with the devil.
It's consequence, yeah.
No, well, but
useful,
it's not actually in the Bible.
Really?
Yeah.
About Revelation.
No, I mean, you might get a little bit of torture or whatever.
Yeah.
But it says that on Judgment Day, I don't remember everything exactly. Again, someday we'll do an extensive show about all this with, like, books in front of us and whatnot. But basically,
and glasses on, perhaps.
The punishment for, like, you know, cardinal sins or not believing in God or all that stuff isn't damnation. It's non-existence.
It's right. It's the... I forget what literature this is, but it's the idea that not being with Christ, that's the hell. Like, not being with this amazing source of love and acceptance, that's your punishment. It's not, you're not burning. It's not something you understand. It's not being with this great stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's just, it's not existing. Like, you just don't, you're just gone. Which
is interesting.
Is what most non-believers believe happens anyway. So, who's winning?
Doesn't have to be a contest, man.
Yes, it does.
Damn, man. That medal changed you.
The Shakespeare medal?
Yeah.
What time we at? Yeah, we're good.
A million.
Well, Brian,
I think we've done yeoman work on Ghost today. I
have no idea how long this episode will actually end up being.
Like 24 minutes, probably.
Yeah, just 23. So you know, at the time the recording says that we've been at it for 1 hour and 7 minutes.
Yeah.
So if you're hearing anything less than that, you will know exactly how much time we had to cut out. Because we certainly were all over the map with this.
Yeah, Eric went on like a long anti-Semitic rant.
False.
That we're gonna have to.
Everybody, first of all, that is not even an appropriate joke to make because.
Damn it! Why does everybody keep saying that?
I am a well-established.
do you have a gold medal in Judaism?
Yes. It's part of my comedy.
What is happening?
There's a famous picture of me holding a sign that says "I heart Jews."
Oh, that kind of.
I choose the chosen people.
Well, I mean, that's it then.
That's right. I mean, Passover is boring as fuck, but
I've been to several Passovers.
But that's actually so. Have you ever heard my Jewish material about Passover?
I think I have.
Yeah.
I think
how they can spice it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jews, I got some ideas for you. Write in. I'll tell you what's up. How to make your holidays more fun.
A little pop. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it starts, I mean, I'm not going to do my whole bit for you, but it starts because the idea is that, like, even the most boring Christian holiday, like, what would it be? I guess you'd have to say it's Easter.
Because Christmas, there aren't that many. I feel like the ones that are really boring just don't even make it to holiday level.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like, we have only a few, but, I mean, I'm including, like...
Like no, we have the fire one, which should be the coolest one, but I can't even think of the name of it right now.
The fire one?
Yeah. What's it's a thing. It gave rise to Episcopalianism, I think. The Calvins, maybe? I can't remember.
All right, then.
There's a thing about, like, fire, and I think it's before Lent. Yeah, I have nothing.
All right. Well, forget that, but what I was talking about... Christmas, you can't say is boring because that's like a huge. That's not even.
It's a tent pole.
You don't even have to be Christian to celebrate Christmas anymore.
Nah.
And it's huge and exciting and presents and all that.
They celebrate that in the Japanese suicide forest.
But then Easter, like it's a little bit boring because you have to dress up and you have to usually go to church and then you go out for lunch or something and it's like ham, and then you go out and find eggs. But that's what I'm talking about. Even the most boring holiday has batshit crazy stuff that has nothing to do with anything.
Bunnies.
Yeah, there's a giant bunny walking around hiding eggs.
What is happening? Yeah.
And you get a basket full of nonsense. When I was a kid, it was always like you get a chocolate bunny and a bunch of candies and then like a balsa wood airplane.
I thought that was just a cliche. People actually got those?
Yeah, we got them every
gliders.
Year. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
well, that was just a collective hallucination, like the Berenstain Bears, spelled the weird way. But the reason I bring that up is because the only time I ever saw a reference to a balsa wood glider was in a Berenstain Bears book. I was like, that's a little tone deaf, guys. That's not a real thing.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing in my house.
All right.
There's the Easter Bunny, of course.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. It's not enough that we already have this enormous angry dad spiritual god. We also have a bunny that watches you.
Yeah.
And perhaps a tooth fairy. I'm not sure how related to Christianity that is, but that's interesting.
Yeah. The leprechauns used to come to my house too.
What?
They'd leave stuff.
Dude, I am learning so much about Ashland on this podcast.
I don't think that was an Ashland thing. That was just a mod.
They have some culture over there.
Yeah, they used to get little things. But the thing is, they'd bring cupcakes and they'd have little plastic leprechauns on them. And they were always like, it was green coconut on top, like dyed green coconut.
Oh, sure.
But I don't like coconut. And I'd always I'm like, Mom, can you please tell the leprechauns I don't like the coconut, and I'd rather have, a not coconut.
Green chocolate.
And I was like, it's not like they're making it home because coconut is not native to Ireland. So they're obviously like farming this out anywhere. So can they just get it from somewhere else and just bring a non-coconut?
Well, I mean, you of all people should know that leprechauns don't necessarily live in Ireland.
Well, there's some debate about that, but yeah.
I would love to hear that debate in the style of speech and debate, opening statement, rebuttal.
Well, where was it? Atlanta? That famous YouTube clip? Could be a crackhead.
I don't know. I was very bad at memes when they first started.
The artist
out.
Rendering.
I do remember that. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. What else was I going to say about leprechauns? Oh, yeah. So
we're changing the name of this podcast to What Else Was I Going to Say About Leprechauns with Eric Dwinnells.
Damn it, you're making me have an asthma attack. No, so they also, one time, it turns out that some of the leprechauns, you might be right, because some of them were Jewish. Because, they'd always leave the chocolate coins.
Oh, right.
But one year they left gelt.
Okay.
Which is like the Jewish coins that they give out at Passover or whatever.
Wait, which are also the chocolate coins,
They're
right?
chocolate coins, but they have like
They're
Hebrew
different?
writing on them and
okay.
stuff. Yeah, so I was like, something's weird with these coins, because usually they have JFK on them. And these ones.
Wait, they were mock-ups of the $50?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Seems like more detail than I was expecting.
But it's Irish,
Yeah, that's pretty Irish, I suppose. That's interesting.
Nice
Gelt just
Catholic
must have
president.
been like,
It's
cheaper.
probably on sale.
Yeah.
Like Passover just ended. My mom just saw gold coins and she's like, perfect. Shalom.
What'd you say? Aye. Ooh. Something.
Shalom, Vayo.
Go to sleep. Whatever. Fair enough.
So that's our podcast about ghosts.
Yep. See you next time. See you next time on Talking Jews.
Yeah. So this was a bit of a scattershot episode, but I think we hit some interesting points. And again, if this is the first episode and you decide to stick it all the way out to the end here, good for you. And
I think we owe you something.
Yeah. And we will be back with regular episodes. Although I am going to be very, very busy with Rock of Ages because it's a very intense rehearsal period.
Girl.
It rehearses 5 days a week till opening. So that's pretty rough. That means, and then some of those other days I work. So it's going to be very limited, my time. So Brian, if you could just plan to be back here approximately in like 2 weeks or whatever.
No, I'm going to do it at my house. I'll just record it and send it to you.
There you go.
I do a really good you.
Don't do me. Just we'll record 2 halves of a conversation. Doesn't have to be.
It won't line up at all.
Yeah. I'll just patch it together.
So what do you think about vampires? Tuesday. Okay. That's interesting. I like it.
That would be a fun experiment, actually. Just record yourself talking for 20 minutes and I'll record myself for 20 minutes and then we'll mix them into a 40-minute
Try to splice them up.
Yeah. Once again, if you have any interest in the show after listening to this episode, you can find us online at spookyas.com, spookyasshit.com. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/spookyas. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at spookyasshit. And please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to the show. Share with your friends. We want more spookaroos in the garrison.
That's what you've decided on?
Yep.
Spookaroos. That's okay.
Hey there, spookaroos. Mark me, spookaroos.
What about ass hats?
What is wrong with you?
All of mine involve ass or shit.
I know. That was your idea last time, was shitty ass
Well,
or something.
I understand, but then like it's two-thirds of your podcast name are profanities. Just lean into that. All right.
Man. Well, Brian, I guess I'm going to say thank you.
Yeah, that's okay.
For today. This is a unique episode. It will not be like this much in the future, but folks, it was a long day and it's too fucking hot. And I know I just complained about feeling sick last week, but it was true. And today it's true that today was a pain in the ass and it's very hot.
Boom. Real talk.
Until next time, don't be afraid.